One evening a couple of years ago, I sat in our social hall with a group of young people eating pizza. Somehow their conversation wound its way around to dating, and the teens shared that none of them was in a relationship. I mentioned that Joe and I had just celebrated our wedding anniversary, and one teen responded, "I can't imagine being in a serious relationship with anyone, let alone trusting someone enough to marry them." "Yeah," another piped up, "how do you know if someone's really a good person? How do you really know for sure that they are being honest with you?" "There are so many creeps out there," said another. "I don't want to get hurt." "No one wants to get hurt," I said. "And you should definitely be smart about who you're meeting and hanging out with. At the same time, it's not always good to protect yourself so much or assume the worst. That's how you end up scared of other people, not trusting anyone." This conversation with our temple teens has stayed with me. Each of these high schoolers is thoughtful, caring, and socially connected. They were at the temple teen program, after all. In the end, I'm not worried so much about these specific teens as much as the culture in which they and we are immersed, our society, and our world. Trusting and extending the benefit of the doubt to those around us, even those we don't know, is what knits a society together. Suspicion and fear do the opposite. Giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt, trusting our instincts as well as our ability to handle the disappointment or heartache that sometimes comes with risk-taking, is what gives us the confidence we need to put ourselves out there and connect with others. If we don't trust anyone, how will we make friends, choose partners, or build families? How will we ensure future generations? How will we live our lives in community with other people? In Pirkei Avot, we learn a teaching that may be familiar to you, at least the first part. The Mishnah begins, "Aseh lecha rav ukneh lecha chaver." Find a teacher and gain a friend. The teaching ends, "V'havei dan et kol ha'adam lechaf zechut." Judge all people with the scale weighted in their favor. How do we find teachers, mentors, and role models? How do we make friends, build relationships, and choose partners? Dan lechaf zechut. Judge favorably, give the benefit of the doubt. Long ago in ancient Israel, there was a man from the Galil in the north who was hired to work for 3 years in the house of someone who lived in the southern part of Israel. One year on Erev Yom Kippur, a night much like tonight, the worker went to collect his wages from the homeowner before traveling home. "Please give me my salary," he said, "so I can go feed my wife and children." The homeowner replied, "I have no money." "Then give me fruit." "I have no fruit." "Then how about land?" "I have none of that either." "How about animals?" "Nothing." "Pillows and blankets?" "Nope." The worker was devastated. How could he return to his family empty-handed and on this, the holiest of days? Still, he flung his tools over his shoulder and headed home in anguish. After the festival of Sukkot, the homeowner made a trip to visit his worker, carrying with him the wages that he owed, as well as so many gifts that 3 donkeys were needed to carry them all. One donkey was loaded with food, another with drink, and a third with sweets. He gave all of these gifts to his worker, and they ate and drank together. After the meal and after the worker had finally been paid, the homeowner asked, "What were you thinking back on Erev Yom Kippur when I told you I had none of the items that you asked for?" "Very simple," said the worker. "I thought many things. I thought you had no money because you had a business opportunity that you couldn't pass up, that you had no animals because you lent them to someone in need, that you had no land because you rented it to someone to grow their own products on it, You had no fruit to give because the tithe had not yet been taken from it. And I thought you had no pillows and blankets because you gave all of your material belongings to the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem." "Unbelievable," the homeowner replied. "You're right. Every last word you just said is exactly as it occurred. I was upset with my son and had vowed to give all my money and property to the Holy Temple so he wouldn't have an inheritance. But when I traveled south to visit you, the great sages here annulled my vow. Hichiru li kol nidre. With my vows forgiven, I could finally pay you. In the same way that you judged me favorably, may God judge you favorably as well." From this story, the sages of our Talmud taught, "Dan chavero l'chaf zechut, danin oto lizchut." The one who judges his fellow favorably, she too will be judged with favor. Who is the judge? In the rabbinic imagination, God, of course, is the judge. On Yom Kippur especially, we imagine God as one who keeps a steady eye on the scales of justice, counting up the actions of each human being, weighing our righteous acts against our misdeeds, totaling up our mitzvot in the book of life. And yet our story reminds us that while God has the capacity to judge favorably or not, we have the ability to influence God's judgment of us in the way we judge others. We judge too. Our inclination is often to assume the worst. How would you feel if you didn't get paid on time and had to leave for a holiday without what was owed you? It's all too easy to suspect the worst and assume that we are being taken advantage of or that the other person is up to no good. With a seemingly endless litany of stories about corrupt politicians or people taking advantage of others in terrible ways, our culture has made it seem dangerous to trust anyone. In a recent poll, parents were asked what they thought would happen if two 10-year-olds played in a local park with no adults around. 60% thought they would get injured. Half thought they were likely to get abducted. These intuitions don't even begin to resemble reality. Kidnapping in the United States is so rare that a child would have to be outside unsupervised for, on average, 750,000 years before being snatched by a stranger. We have a tendency to overestimate risk, and this in turn poses its own risks. In an effort to protect ourselves, we approach others with suspicion unless we are certain that they are good, honest people, acting in good and honest ways. And yet it is precisely in moments of uncertainty that Jewish tradition reminds us, Dan lechaf zechut, judge favorably, give others the benefit of the doubt. Giving someone the benefit of the doubt requires trust. Even though a situation may be unclear or we might not know a person well or understand exactly what's going on in any given circumstance, dan lechaf zechut. Giving the benefit of the doubt means we trust they are acting in good faith, that there's an honest explanation or more to the story, that they're acting out of good intention and not with malice. And even though we can't know for certain, we trust ourselves enough to take the risk. Rambam, one of the greatest Jewish scholars of all time, understood that there were limits to the value of dan lechaf zechut. For wicked people, those you know for certain are wicked, he says, don't give the benefit of the doubt. And for truly righteous people, those you know for certain are righteous, always assume the good. No doubt is necessary. When there's uncertainty, however, that's when you give the benefit of the doubt. Most of us are not wicked or truly righteous. Most people are somewhere in between, in the space of uncertainty, in the place of doubt. We humans don't like uncertainty, and yet this is precisely where Judaism challenges us not to address the uncertainty by turning away or judging harshly, but rather to step closer, to give the benefit of the doubt. We do this for the sake of our well-being and for the sake of how we see the world. The urgency of Dan L'chaf Zechut is not only for our kids and teens, but for each of us sitting in this room tonight. Dan L'chaf Zechut. Tip the scales in someone's favor, Judaism tells us. Give others the benefit of the doubt, so we don't walk through life afraid, distrustful, and suspicious. So we cultivate more open hearts, so we aren't so lonely. Dan L'chaf Zechut, so we find teachers and make friends. So as a society, we choose partners, create families, and nurture future generations. So we create communities sustained by people who know how to take risks and trust others. And as the homeowner said to the worker those many, many years ago, just as we judge favorably, may God judge us favorably as well. Dan L'chaf Zechut, this year, let's give the benefit of the doubt.